All right, guys, time for step three. Step three in how you turn your relationship around and build a relationship that will last. Step one and two, now those are the foundation. You can't have a healthy relationship if there's things getting in the way of you being the man that God called you to be. If there's things getting in the way of you being the man that your family needs you to be. So you need to address the fears, the insecurities, the things that might be getting in the way of you being that man. You also need to make sure that you're suiting up in that full armor of God. So you're fighting that spiritual battle that's going on too. That's step one. Step number two is all about fixing the communication. You can't have a healthy relationship if you're not communicating really well, if you're not resolving conflict, if you're not building that emotional connection, that emotional safety in the relationship. That's why step one and two are the foundation. Step three is where we build on top of that foundation. It's where we focus on building a relationship that's going to last. First Peter 4:8 says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly. It doesn't say love one another. It says keep, right? We got to continue. And it has to be earnestly, right? Which is like sincerely. You got to really mean it. You want your relationship to last, you must choose to continue loving each other moment by moment, day by day, year by year. And every time you take the actions of love, it's like putting a piece of wood on the fire of the relationship. This is how we get that fire burning hot. This is how we keep that fire burning. And the moment you stop putting one on fire, what happens? The fire begins to fade. That's what happens when men come to me and they're like, Nick, I feel like roommates. Or like another guy that I talked with a couple weeks ago, he said, they're retired and they're traveling all over the place, which is wonderful. He said, Nick, I feel like a baggage handler. I just carry her bags for her. There's no connection. I'm just along for the ride. Don't let your relationship get to that point, or if it's at that point, it's time to stoke that fire, get it burning hot. And just a reminder, this free course, it's bits and pieces from the larger course. That larger course is a 12, actually, we've got um, 13 modules in that course now. It's a deep dive into those three steps: how to become that man that God created you to be, how to fix the communication so you guys can work through the conflict, so you can tear down those walls, break through that wall of resentment, and how to build a relationship that's going to last. Our first step, you got to love her. Really, really great story on this. Stephen Covey, he wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I think is actually in that book. He wrote several other books, but um, actually, that was the very first self help book that I read. He's got a lot of other books on leadership, a lot of training on leadership. But anyways, he served as a leader in his church for a period of time, and he had a man come to him who said, "I'm not in love with my wife anymore." And Stephen looked at him and he said, "Okay, well then love her." And the man kind of confused. He goes, "No, that's the thing is I don't love my wife anymore." And Stephen was like, "Yeah, then love her." And now the guy's getting kind of frustrated. He's like, "No, you're not hearing me. I'm telling you, those feelings of love, they're just not there anymore." Stephen said, "Then love her." You see, love is not just a feeling that we feel. Love is also the actions that we take. And as we take the actions of love, as we do the things that say, I love you, as we serve others, That that kindles the fire of love. That gets the passion of love going. 1 Corinthians 13:4-8 says, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude, does not insist on its own way, is not irritable or resentful, does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but it rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. The Bible also tells us, well, so many things here, but Ephesians 5:25 tells us that our one of our primary responsibilities is to love our wives and to love them like Christ loved the church. Sacrificial, unconditional, action oriented. The Bible also tells us that love covers a multitude of sins. If we focus earnestly on loving our wives, that would solve probably all your problems. If you just focused on loving her and using this 1 Corinthians 13:4-8 as the blueprint for what that love looks like. Patient and kind, not rude, doesn't insist on its own way, not irritable or resentful. Are those things easy? No, absolutely not. This is hard. But if you did those things, do you agree? You wouldn't have any issues in your relationship. If you loved your wife like that and she loved you back in those ways, you wouldn't have any problems. We have to set aside our own selfish desires. We have to intentionally choose love. Back to Ephesians 5, it says that husbands are to love their wives. To the wives, it says that they should submit to their husbands, that they should respect their husbands. And guys come to me and they say, hey, as soon as my wife submits to me and respects me, then I'll love her. Then I'll treat her the way that she wants to be treated. But until she starts doing that, is that what Christ said? Remember, our model is Christ, right? We're to love our wives as Christ loved the church. It was unconditional, right? It was, I'm going to love you. I'm going to do the things of love, even if you don't do your part. God showed his love for us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ went to the cross. He died on the cross. He didn't say, hey, once you guys get your act together, then I'll go to the cross. He didn't say, hey, as soon as you start loving me, I'll love you back. Is it easy? Absolutely not. But if you just did this one thing, if you just focused on this one thing of loving her, then she's going to want to respect you. Then she's going to want to submit to you. Then she's going to want to love you back. Remember, you're the man, you're the head, you're to lead by example. And that covenant didn't say, I'll do my part if you do your part. That covenant said, I will do my part even if you don't do yours. All right, guys, the next step is to pursue her. If you haven't read the Song of Solomon, man, I suggest you do. It's a little hard to follow sometimes, and some of the references don't make a whole lot of sense. But I thought this was a really good one. Behold, okay, this is the bride talking about the groom. Behold, he comes, leaping over the mountains, bounding over the hills. He's pursuing her. He's leaping over mountains and bounding over hills for her. And then she says to him, make haste, my beloved, and be like a gazelle. She's saying, chase me, pursue me. Every woman wants to be pursued by her man. We usually do this fairly well during that honeymoon and dating phase of the relationship. And then we get busy with work. We get busy raising kids. We get busy with soccer and softball and all the things, right? Just trying to keep a roof over our heads. And then we stop putting wood on that fire. What happens when you stop putting wood on a fire? It goes out. Got to pursue her. It's intentional, right? Remember, keep loving one another earnestly. You have to be intentional about it. You have to be sincere about it. You have to keep doing it. Our next step is to fulfill her. 1 Corinthians 7:3 says the husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise, the wife to her husband. Now, this is actually talking about like the sexual intimacy side of things, and it's talking about sexual sin. And if we're fulfilling each other in that way, it will help to reduce the temptation to go looking elsewhere for that. But beyond that, we part of loving each other is working to fulfill each other's needs, to show up in the ways that our spouse needs us to show up in. Unspoken needs become unmet needs, and unmet needs become unresolved resentment. This happens so many times, where a need's not getting met. It's also not being talked about. And then it becomes resentment. You never gave them the opportunity to even meet the need because you never asked for it. Fulfilling each other's needs helps each of you to feel valued and loved. This adds wood to the fire. Okay, so how do we communicate about your needs? Because this is really important. Okay, again, if you're not asking for it, if you're not communicating it, they don't have an opportunity to even fulfill it. James 4:3 says, you ask and you do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. Okay, how we ask for our needs to get met is really important. Plays a big factor on whether or not how they respond. Something to keep in mind is to use I statements. So saying things like, I feel frustrated, not you make me frustrated, right? That's putting the blame on them. That's putting the ownership on them. That's going to create defensiveness. Instead, feel frustrated when this thing happens or when this thing doesn't happen. Use words like, I would like it if, instead of you need to, right? You need to submit. Express the next step. So use I statements. Again, how you approach it has a huge impact on what the response looks like. The next thing is to express how the missing need impacts you and the relationship. This is really good to create that emotional connection between what you need and what you need and the emotion, right? Women think and feel in emotions. Men are more logical. This helps make that emotional connection for them. When you're scrolling on your phone while I'm trying to talk, feel like I'm not important to you, right? That's going to hit way better than you need to quit scrolling on your phone. I feel disconnected when we go long periods of time without intimacy, right? Why don't we ever have sex? No, I feel disconnected, right? That's gonna resonate so much better with her. So we're using I statements, right? Which is part of you taking ownership, you taking responsibility, not blaming, helps prevent that defensiveness. You want to express how that missing need impacts the relationship. Now we want to offer a solution. What do you think about setting aside maybe 15 minutes a day to talk without any distractions? Right? The phone, man, it's become such a big problem. Everybody's just hooked to them, and it's creating this disconnect in relationships. I think that maybe we could schedule a date night every couple of weeks. What do you think? And then be open to negotiation, right? If she's like, oh, man, that's a lot, to try to find a babysitter, the finances are tight, just the thought of going out on a date, I'm so exhausted. Going out every couple of weeks, that's a lot. Maybe we can start with once a month, right? Negotiate that, guys. And then work your way, right? Start going once a month on a regular basis, and maybe every 3 weeks, and maybe every other week. Okay, work your way up to it. Be open for her to have some other suggestions. And the negotiation part of it is really important. Okay. Especially in the case where sometimes your needs and her needs don't really line up, where maybe like you want to go out and you want to do things, or it's usually the other way around where she wants to go out and she wants to do things, she wants to be social, and you just want to be home. This is where you negotiate. Okay. Yes, I love you. And I want to do that for you. It's not really the thing that I'm excited about, but I'm excited about you. And so I want to do the things that you're excited about. So yeah, let's go and do that. But you know what? Every week is a lot. How about we just start with, every couple of weeks, once a month, be open to negotiation, and then adjust from there. Okay. All right, let's put it all together, guys. When we don't spend quality time together for an extended period, I feel disconnected. I'm concerned about the impact it's having on our relationship. What do you think about planning a night just for us every couple of weeks? How's that compared to we never go out? Why don't you ever want to be with me? Noticed that we both developed a habit of scrolling on our phones when we're together. I feel like we're just wasting precious time and missing out on an opportunity to connect. What do you think about spending like 15 minutes each day without any distractions? Just set the phones down, have a conversation. How about this one? When you don't respond to my text for hours, I get really worried that maybe something bad's happened. What do you think about just checking in occasionally so I know you're okay? Remember, we want to use I statements, right? Not you always, you never, why don't you just? Okay, but you're taking ownership for how you feel. You're offering some solutions here. You're communicating how it's impacting you and the relationship. This helps you connect on that emotional level. All right, man, I'm going to tell you right up front, routines are just not sexy, right? And earlier on in the relationship, like you didn't need routines, like things just happened, and that was cool. And it's fun when it's spontaneous, and I hope that you get some spontaneous fun now and then. But the truth is once you've been married for a little while, and especially if you have kids, if you're both working, if you got a bunch of yard work to do, you've got family to take care of, it gets really easy to lose focus of that relationship because you're just being pulled in so many different directions. If you want to keep the fire going, you have to keep putting wood on it. Likewise, If we want to keep the flame of the relationship burning, we have to keep working to meet each other's needs. We have to keep doing those things and say, I love you. Because saying it's good, it's important, it's not enough. And just feeling it is good, but it's not enough. You have to do it. You have to back those words up. You got to back the feeling up with action. That's how she knows that you love her. Because if you say I love you, but your actions don't match that, the words have no meaning. So how can we set some routines around this? Daily and weekly routines, really good. Carve out like 15 to 30 minutes every day for meaningful face-to-face conversation. Maybe that's first thing in the morning before you guys head off for the day. Maybe that's at night before you go to bed, after your shower. Maybe it's during dinner, but some face-to-face time, 15 to 30 minutes without talking about the logistics, the chores, or work. Okay, this isn't just that surface level coordinating type of conversation. This is, how was your day today? What what was something good that happened today? How are you feeling about that, situation at work? About having some deeper level conversations. Ideally, you could dedicate about 6 hours total of quality time per week, right? So that the daily check-ins, if you're spending a half an hour a day times 7 days, you're at 3.5 hours. And then maybe once a week you spend a couple of hours together going for a walk, watching a movie. Gotta dedicate some time. And then there's the 2-2-2 rule. Okay. This is date night every 2 weeks, a weekend getaway every 2 months, and a week-long vacation every 2 years. Now I'm going to tell you guys, this one is tough. It's really, really tough. Um, you don't have to start at 2-2-2. Maybe you start at 4-4-4, right? Or 4-4-2 or something along those lines. But the point is you want to have some sort of routine where you're getting away and you're spending some quality time with each other on a regular basis. These things don't necessarily have to be expensive. I know finances a lot of times that's a lot of times what's gotten in the way of my wife and I is just, man, a weekend getaway every 2 months. How do you afford that? Date night. We've had date nights. Some of our best date nights was getting some takeout, sitting in the car and watching a movie on we got an old car with a DVD player inside of it. Going for a hike. We spend a lot of time doing that. That's a lot of our daytime is going for a hike. And sometimes those are night hikes because that's when everything's settled down, the kids are in bed, and we've got a little bit of time for each other. Find ways to get together on a regular basis and connect and put it on the calendar. And it's not sexy, but it's a lot better than letting that fire go out. All right, guys, you watched another video, which is awesome. But if you don't do anything about it, it was a waste of your time. Your wife doesn't care that you watched a video. She cares that you're taking action. She cares that you're showing up in new ways. So here's your tasking. First thing is the needs exchange. Now I'm going to tell you, okay, this is step 3 for a reason. If you've got some significant communication issues, if you guys are fighting and arguing all the time, if there's a bunch of resentment built up, if you're not showing up in the ways that she needs you to show up in, you're not at step 3 yet. Okay. Because I can tell you if that foundation is crumbling and falling apart, there's no amount of flowers that you could buy. There's no fancy enough restaurant that you could go to that will rebuild that foundation. Got to start in step 1, step 2. Okay. Step three is after things are in a better place. When you guys can actually communicate with each other, you've worked through some of the conflict, you've worked through some of that resentment. That's when you guys are ready to jump into step three. The way I like to put it is imagine if you never changed the oil in your car. Eventually, the oil's going to run dry and you're going to seize the engine. Okay. A lot of us men have treated our relationship that way. Maybe at first, for the first couple of years, we changed that oil on a regular basis. We took care of her. We loved her. We pursued her. We did all the things. And then we began to neglect her. Probably not intentionally, just probably because you just got busy. You quit putting oil in the car. Eventually that engine seized up. There's no amount of oil that you can pour into that engine that's going to bring it back to life. You got to rebuild the engine. And then after you rebuild the engine, you better be sure that you're maintaining it on a regular basis. That's what this is like. Okay. If your relationship has gotten to a place where the fire is out, where that foundation is falling apart, where there's a bunch of resentment, you got to start in step one and step two first. Then once you rebuild that engine, you've got to maintain it after that, guys. That's what this step is about. It's about getting that fire burning hot and keeping that fire burning. All right. First task, the needs exchange. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit down, you're going to write down a list of your own needs. Here's what I need in order to feel loved and fulfilled in this relationship. If you're having a hard time with that, take a look at the 5 love languages. Really good framework for that. We have a whole module dedicated to that in the paid course. Spend a little bit of time guessing what your wife needs, right? She's probably been giving you hints if she hasn't given you direct things. But take a minute to think about what are the things that really are really meaningful for her. What are the things that if I did on a regular basis would help her to know to really know that I love her? Then ask your wife to guess what your needs are and write down hers. Okay, so she's going to do that part too. And then use that section above on how to communicate your needs to share the list and see where you guys are aligned and what things maybe you missed. Maybe there's been some uncommunicated needs over the years. And what happens if they're not communicated? They don't get met. Step 5 is you want to work together to identify 1 or 2 things. Okay. You don't want to take on too much at once, right? That 222, it's a great thing to work towards, but it's a lot to go on a date every 2 weeks, to go on a weekend getaway every 2 months, a week-long vacation every 2 years. That's a lot to try to take on all at once. Work your way up to it. Start small, work your way up to it. So 1 or 2 things that you could do on a regular basis to meet each other's needs. And then we want to create that weekly, daily 222 routines to create a routine that will provide the dedicated time to focus on meeting each other's needs. You've got to be putting wood on that fire on a regular basis. That fire is going to go out. All right, guys, that's it. That's step 3. I'm going to have some more modules coming out, specific to different things. But step 1 is be the man. Step 2 is to fix communication. Step 3 is making it last by loving each other. If you're interested in diving deeper, I encourage you to join the paid Unwavering Husband course. 13 modules. It's designed to be a 12-week course. It's just like this, just dives into much deeper detail, walks you through those 3 steps to truly become that man that she needs, to turn your relationship around, to build a relationship that will last, to build the type of relationship that God designed. He he didn't design it to be roommates. Okay, when Eve was created, Adam said, "At last," right? Like he was, man, so excited to have Eve. I want you to come home and be like, "At last, I'm home with the love of my life." I want you to get that fire burning. I want to keep that fire burning. All right, guys. Wish you well on this journey. I look forward to seeing you in the community. God bless.